when I've taken polls and then when I've asked my audience, like, what do you guys like to hear most? A lot of you guys resonated in the notion that you like hearing the behind the scenes, you like knowing exactly how I run a business and raise two toddlers and all the things. So let me give you a quick insight on what's been happening in the past 4 to 5 months.
Welcome to Mindset Mastery Podcast, where we explore the intersections of motherhood and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Julissa Edwards, and in each episode, we're diving into mindset, emotional regulation, and the real stories of mom entrepreneurs navigating both business and family life. Let's get into it.
Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode on Mindset Mastery with yours truly, Julissa Edwards. Today is going to be a very special deep dive into a solo episode about all of the transitions that I have been dealing with, pivoting with in business and in life. Um, since our most recent update, if you have listened to previous solo episodes, I think I was most likely speaking about the transition in hours. We had a lot of change, my family and I, in childcare, and we had to pivot a lot via work hours. Long story short, quick summary recap is that I went from working, we had an au pair living in house with us, helping us care for our two kiddos. So I was working about 25 to 30 hours a week then. And then we just moved to Charleston. We don't really want an au pair living with us for reasons that were mentioned in one of those other solo episodes that I won't repeat and go into here. But we ended up having just a babysitter in the neighborhood kind of come watch our kiddos about 20 hours a week. And then things shifted again for us greatly. And we decided that I wanted to take advantage more of my children's time, especially at these young years before they go into school and are more in, like a system where they're going to be out of the house for X hours a day, et cetera, et cetera, and just really taking advantage of what entrepreneurship is gifting me via time with my kids. So I now work 12 to 16-hour weeks, still running my business as if it was full time. Of course, I have support to do that. I have a virtual assistant, I have a creative director slash office business manager that helps me do literally everything in the business. It's beautifully curated to a point where I am simply showing up to my calls that I am working with my clients or my group programs, and most of my administrative tasks are being heavily supported by my team. I'm still the creator and the CEO in many ways. So, of course, any like reels or videos or content that I'm creating, that's obviously me in front of the camera, that has to take time out of my schedule to record and do things of that sort, like the podcast that we're doing right now. And then also, I still hold creative reign over my writing and literature when it comes to my programs. I'm still the ones creating everything from scratch. My team is simply helping me brand it. They help me brainstorm, making sure that the messaging is clear. We run tests of via emails, like how many people are opening up the emails. Like they help me track data, um, KPIs, if you may, to see what's working and what's not. But I am still very much the creator, creating all the emails, creating all the things, and my team is doing a very, very good job of taking what I am creating and giving it multi-purpose. So putting that into captions and um, things of that sort, right? And so we are definitely running a really healthy engine. And it's beautiful. This is my fifth year in business, so I've had so many pivots and who I cater to, who my audience is, and it's been a wild journey, but I've had a lot of clarity in this year, or in this time of my business, that it's perfect that this podcast is called Mindset Mastery because that's what I do in all things. For those that don't know, the beginning of my career was in psychology, mental health. I got my master's to be a mental health clinician. I, passed my test. I had Oh God, I don't even know. I think at that point you needed like 2,000 clinical hours to pass or 3,000, something of that sort. At this point in my career, I have over 15,000 hours of clinical practice. So you could I could humbly say that I have mastery over my craft in the field of mental health. Um, but that has also shifted for me greatly because a lot of the work that I do is in the coaching realm of things, right? I've built this beautiful business where I've kind of combined both my therapeutic skills and my coaching skills to teach people via program or via classes, whether they're pre-recorded or live, you know. And I did that because I wanted to. I wanted to be able, I didn't even know that the proper terminology at that point was scaling, but it was, how can you have greater impact, reach more people within less time, and of course, get paid more for that, right? Your traditional therapeutic model is you see one client, you get paid for that client, and if they don't show up, or if you don't show up, if you're sick, you don't get paid, right? And so therapists can make good money doing that, but it's always going to be constricted to you have to show up, right? And listen, still a large part of my coaching business, I do have to show up. I'm giving therapy or coaching to my clients, but then I also have other streams of revenue where I don't have to be there, and that's fantastic. And so I want to give you guys an update. And today, ironically, is also the 1 year anniversary of when I went on The Blocks, a reality TV show that is recorded in documentary style that has a competitive spin to it. A lot of the people that I have interviewed in season 2 for all things mothers in business have come from The Blocks. It was a beautiful networking opportunity. It was myself amongst 200 other companies who were looking to grow, better their business model and learn from someone who has literally made millions. Uh, Venture capitalist Wes Bergman, he is a reality TV star, began in his early 20s, learned so much about business, and he created a show that combines both reality TV and business mentorship, if you may. So it was like a really intense, like I think it was 5 days, mastermind, if you will, that was also being recorded, and that also had a competitive edge to it because we were competing to be almost like, the best startup or the best business, that was in that cohort, if you may. So it was great. So much networking happened there. Um, and I learned a lot. So much information was squished in 5 days. It was very, very exciting and overwhelming. And I'm gonna be just keeping it real with you guys. On the 1 year, yesterday was like day zero for us, and I had a reminder in my time hop. I used that app to just have a nice reflection of like what was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And yeah, it was me being super excited, being on set for the first time, being exhausted, getting into the world of like reality TV, just a taste of like 12, 14, 16-hour days. And it was so cool. It was very, very cool. And I'm not gonna lie, I had a moment of sadness, almost disappointment of like, Julie, so what have you done since then? Right? And that's just my brain being so hard on myself. I'm like, girl, you are just so hard on, you can be so hard on yourself sometimes. Because the reality is, after I had a proper time to reflect, is that I've been doing a whole lot this year, and my brand has pivoted greatly. We continue to try new things, and we are implementing some of the things that were taught over at the blocks. Not everything. I literally have my book on my desk in front of me. There are still things that I want to work on, but some of the information that I learned was also heavily inputted. I will also say, I was also really in a blessed position when I was on the show because not all, some of the concepts that were taught, I had already mastered because of my mentorship experiences that I had prior to going on that show. Now, I am a believer that even if you learn something, you can always learn more from somebody else's perspective. There are so many ways to do business, and the people that have mastered their craft will have their own spin on it, right? Just like therapy. Just, you can go to one therapist, learn so much, and then go to another therapist and be like, oh my God, like it becomes a beautiful stacking effect of like you just learn more and more and more. And if you guys know me, I love being a student. I love being educated. And so I am a geek for things like that. So, all that being said, when I got on the show, I learned so much. But a lot of the challenges that they were being asked of us to do, I did feel like I had an upper hand because my coaches in business prior to had kind of set me up for that path already. And so I was more readily available to mm, not properly compete, but I felt like I had more of an edge because I had already been working on some of these things with my business coach. And so um, it was a great experience overall. And I learned a lot. And so, what I want to mention on this episode is give you guys a behind the scenes look when I've taken polls and when I've asked my audience, like, what do you guys like to hear most? A lot of you guys resonated in the notion that you like hearing the behind the scenes, you like knowing exactly how I run a business and raise two toddlers and all the things. So let me give you a quick insight on what's been happening in the past 4 to 5 months. So it is now February. Back in October, November, we made the shift of like, hey, we're going to say goodbye to all childcare. My husband's job, he recently got a promotion and a schedule shift where he works 11 a.m. to 8. And so then that gave me the idea of, well, do you think it could be possible? This is me and my husband speaking. Do you think it could be possible for me to run my business from the hours of 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. when I was back before doing 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., right? Um, and some evenings, some days, like on Wednesdays, I used to come in to my office. Like I used to come in like 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. to like anyone that needed nighttime sessions or visits or things of that sort. So anyway, um yeah, I was like, holy crap. Like, I was excited. I was like, oh my God, that would be amazing. I could work my business from 6 to 10 a.m. Like, fantastic. And then, fear creeps in and it's like, hold up. Are all of your clients actually going to want to do that? How are you actually going to run a business in those hours? Who's actually going to see you at that time? What work can you get done if you only have 16-hour work weeks at max? Because I'm now working Tuesday through Friday, sometimes Saturdays if I really, really need it, but really Tuesday through Fridays. And yeah, uh, the logical self creeps in, and I hope I share this in hopes of relating to anyone who's looking to do a leap of faith or change drastically in their life. And yeah, like there's moments of excitement of like, holy crap, this is so possible. And then there's also moments of wait, is this possible? And, anxiety creeps in, fear creeps in, self-doubt creeps in, procrastination creeps in, imposter syndrome creeps in, and it can keep you stuck. I proudly am able to say that when I reach those moments in my life, a crossroad, if you will, of, hey, do we keep doing what we're doing and kind of get stuck in this routine, or do we try something new and hope that it works out for the best? In all things mastering my mindset, I do think that I have a really good hold on stretching myself and pushing myself to, in a healthy way, to try new things and see what's possible, right? You literally don't know if you don't try. 4 or 5 months out, um, things that I've learned working super early, it can be crazy beneficial. When I am on my ish, I am waking up at 5 a.m., I am meditating, I am journaling before calls, I am my most zen and best self to my work. And it's fantastic. The clients that I do see at 6, 6:30, 7 a.m., um, for me, like an 8 a.m. call is like somewhat normal, 9 a.m. call is somewhat normal. That's my last slot, like a 9 a.m. call, because I end my client calls at 10. Um, but for the ones that are waking up early with me and having an early rise coaching session, it's beautiful. We literally get to watch the sunrise. Um, it has a whole new meaning to like starting off your day on a good note, right? Um, so that's been fantastic. Some of the cons is that I have really long days, right? So I work actively from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And listen, I'm gonna be just super honest. Like there are days where I need the extra hour of sleep, so maybe I won't roll into my office until 7. But then that's why I say 12 to 16-hour work weeks, because if I had 4 hours every for Tuesday to Friday, it would be 16 hours. But just realistically, there are days where I'm just so tired and I am snoozing and getting an extra half hour to an hour of sleep. And so that truncates my time to maybe sometimes 12 hours. But we're still getting it done, right? And so it's not perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. And so some of the cons are that it's a really long day for me. If I'm waking up either at 5 or 6 a.m., um, doing my work in the beginning, and then I have the kiddos from 11 a.m. until bedtime, which is 8 p.m. or so. There are days where I put them to sleep, and oh my God, I'm just so exhausted that all I want to do is go to bed right after. Um, and then there are days where I have more spunk in me and I'm able to, like watch a TV show with my husband or do something. Um, like we just did our vision boards the other night for the year, a little late, but better late than never. Things of that sort where I will stay up until about 10:30, but that's like really, really pushing it. And one of my faults, I think, have been sometimes I feel like I don't really have too much time for myself, so I'll end up staying up really late, and that's not good for me because if I go to bed around midnight, that means that I'm only getting about 5 to 6 hours of sleep before I got to do it all over again the next day. So again, pros and cons to this lifestyle. But it's a blessing at the end of the day because it is just there's proof in the pudding that I have continuously taken pivots in my business. And even when there are hardships, it works. It works out for me, right? And I think that's just a lesson to be learned in anything that you do. Like, there's always going to be hardships. Nothing is ever perfect, but I like to know that in my life, I can literally curate whatever I feel is necessary at that time and I can make it work no matter what. And that's a skill set. That's a mindset skill set to have. It's mindset mastery to have that I truly believe and I live through evidence that as my life continues to shift to revolve around the needs of my children, so does my business, and we continuously make it work. We have been in business for 5 years. Um, Profitable business at that. And when I mean profitable, I mean that my income outweighs my expenses where I'm able to give myself a salary with the work that I do. And just being in full transparency, that salary has gone up and down tremendously. Um, but it's always been profitable. I've never been in the negative. I've never had more expenses than my income. And yeah, it's just the game of entrepreneurship. You're trying new things, you're pivoting, all the things. And so behind the scenes look, I gave you some insight there on just like how I've been managing the new timing of my schedule. And we took some the reason why we hired an au pair back like in 2024, 2023 was because we needed more support having like, the two kiddos under two or the two kiddos under three at that point. And we both needed to work. And we wanted to have more hands. We live far away from our family, from our both of our families, and we saw it as as a more solid, dependable caretaker than just hiring nannies or babysitters from time to time. Um, Pros and cons there, but again, you can revisit old episodes to listen to the whole au pair experience. Um, and ultimately, me and my husband decided that we wanted to take every advantage that we could with the kiddos. Um, what I will say is that we kind of dug a hole, like I dug a hole into burnout just a little bit because I am with the kids all day, every day. And we did take precaution of like setting up some things so that we could have childcare. It just ended up not working out. Um, we might still use it. What I'm referencing to is like we paid for like this Montessori like daycare where I could drop them off whenever I want. It's pretty cool actually. Like the concept of it is cool. You can drop your kiddos off whenever you want. I think it's like 12 or $13 an hour per kid. We paid for like an annual membership, so I still have access to that. But what ended up happening was the kiddos kept getting sick, which again is to be expected when you're putting your kiddos in a daycare like system. But when they were getting sick, it was like right before the holidays. So we ended up pulling them out or not utilizing that as a resource for us up until now, to be honest. It's now February, because we were just like, maybe we should just avoid it in the cold months and we can go back in there in the spring. And I live in the South, so the spring is like gonna happen like next week. And so we were like, let's just hold off until like March and then we can send them back. So that's going to be an outsource, a support system for me as a mom to just have a break, in between going to work and just being a full-time caretaker for the kiddos. What I'm looking for is alleviation 1 to 2 times a week. It doesn't have to be grand, like I truly enjoy time with my kiddos, but I'm a person. I need time for myself. And so what we're doing now is have hired a date night babysitter who can uh, give us alleviation or a date night, every other Saturday, something like that, twice a month, which will be good for me and my husband. Because one thing that I really did enjoy about having an au pair was we had date nights every single Thursday. It was fantastic. Like it was just really good. And so I would definitely do miss. I would definitely do need to inject that back into our routine. And so we have a babysitter now for date nights, and now I'm also interviewing a babysitter that can come like from the hours of 12 to 4 on any given like Wednesday or Thursday. My logic or idea behind that was like, okay, I work Tuesday through Friday. It would be nice to have a midweek break from the kiddos, to be frank. Um, you know, I'll get out of work and instead of going right into caring for them, I could do whatever I want to do for that time being. Um, I would love to go to the beach, spend some time reading or like I have like I know that sounds like work, but I'm a nerd. I love learning. I have so many courses that I need to review for the growth of my business that I don't always want to eat up during my business hours because I already have limited time that it would be nice just to have like let me get an hour and a half in of like learning and education and then do something else with the other 2 hours that I have in that 4 hour time frame. Um, and so we're working on that. I have an interview next week with her, with a potential candidate for that. And so we are slowly inching our way back up to this is what life will look like for us with a little bit of support so I don't burn out and things of that sort. So within due time, all things always work out. I think like anybody else, I'm human and I'm sometimes so focused on the greater vision that I forget to take care of myself, right? And that's just what happened here. I was so focused on making this new business venture, not venture, like hours work for me that I was over thrilled with the time that I got to spend with my kiddos, which is a blessing, that I overlooked the possibility that I could get burnt out, which is like, of course you will get burnt out, Julissa. You need a break. So that's my update on that. And then for another insight, like just being vulnerable here with you guys. There's been a great shift in my branding, and I don't really know if it's perceived by the masses. I would say my most invested community is my Instagram community. That's where I started my business. It's where I continue to provide insight and education and services, through my posts and through my stories. And a lot of it for the past 4 to 5 years has been surrounding it was like a personal brand mixed with a business brand, right? It was like, here, my name is Julissa Edwards. This is what I do. When I first began sharing my life, I was a fiance. I was getting married and then I got married and then we had we got married and then we had pets as our first kiddos and then we had actual babies and then I took you guys through all of that journey of hospital birth, home birth, doulas, midwives, postpartum. All of my programs beautifully followed the life that I was experiencing. So, in the beginning of my time in 2020, when I first began, I was a therapist full time. And so I created a program about anxiety and depression. It's what I knew best trauma, anxiety, depression. It was one of our it was probably like one of our best programs was the mind reset program. Then me as not a business owner, but me as a person, I got bored of teaching the same thing over and over again, so I wanted to pivot, and so I did. And so then I created the entrepreneur's mind reset, and I was teaching people how to begin online businesses. That was hot and heavy for a couple of rounds. then I got bored again. This is definitely like a me problem. I'm just being very vulnerable. Like this is a me problem of like getting bored and wanting to switch it up. Then I got bored of doing that, and so then I became a mom, and I was so, in love with all the things, and I created a motherhood program, which was also phenomenal. So like, listen, these things weren't bad pivots, but in my time of maturing as a business owner, I am just definitely taking note and accountability that I flip-flopped a lot. And look, I'm happy and I'm lucky that it worked out for me. There was also a lot of ideas that I had that didn't work out. I'm just mentioning the programs that did work out, right? I think that I'm most known for if you've been following my entrepreneurial journey for this time and how I've literally paid the bills in the last 5 years were through these successful programs. But yes, there were many ideas that I also tried that just didn't work out. And so, yeah, the conscious motherhood circle, I pivoted towards there. And now I am focusing most of my energy on individual one-to-one therapy, like traditional counseling. We brought that back this year. It feels really good to do that. Is for a couple of reasons. It feels good to do that to sharpen my clinical skills of doing traditional therapy. And then also, providing an easy access point for people to join my services. A lot of what me and my team have been doing this year is trying to be accessible to all. Um, and when I say to all, I mean financially, right? Like if you can only afford this and we have this kind of service, if you can, we also have a lot of master classes happening right now. For like 27 bucks, anywhere from like 27 to like $99 for either like a one master class kind of deal or a bundle of things. And it's good. It's like, hey, if you love my work and you've been following me for some time, but you can invest in like high level mentorship, which is like 1,000 plus, let's just say, right? You have these smaller options available to you. I also have free community where you get free community calls every other week. We are definitely serving more people than ever before with less time, which is a huge win. Um, and so the vulnerable part here that I'm going to share is the change that me and my team have been doing behind the scenes that it kind of feels like, for me personally, emotionally, it kind of feels like it's sad. It's kind of sad for me. I'm trying something new and I'm seeing where it goes, but I understand the importance of it. So let me just tell you what it is. Maybe you've noticed, maybe you haven't.
Hey, mamas, let me ask you this. Do you dream of starting your own business but feel overwhelmed by where to begin? You're not alone, and that's exactly why I created our free WhatsApp group, Balancing Business and Babies, a safe space for moms like you who are ready to take that first step towards entrepreneurship while balancing the beautiful chaos of motherhood. Inside, you'll find daily mindset shifts and tips, encouragement from women on the same journey, and bi weekly free community calls. Whether you are still in the dreaming phase or ready to take action, this group is here to support you every step of the way. And the best part? It's totally free. Just click the link in the show notes below to join. Mama, your dreams are very much possible, and you don't have to do it alone. Let's build your vision together, and I'll see you in the group inside.
I have been sharing less and less about my personal life and more about who I serve in the business. Now, my reason for doing that, and I mentioned the blocks because some of these concepts were actually like I didn't even recognize it until I was reflecting on the 1 year mark of like, yeah, seeds were planted during that time of I gained maturity as a CEO and learning that yes, I am confidently like the best at what I do. I feel that I'm a really good therapist, mindset coach, leader, all the things, but that can only take you so far. That I have to be good enough to be able to replicate my services so that not all services fall back on me to be successful. I think as a journey as a CEO and entrepreneur, like a baby fetus entrepreneur, like you have to learn so much courage and confidence in your skill sets to be able to say like yup, this is what I do, and yup, that's a price point for it, and yup, it's worth every penny. Like there's a lot of mindset work and healing that has to go around just that. So I would say like the beginning of my entrepreneurial career was based on beefing myself up, of believing in myself and like saying like, yes, Julissa, you are the best. You are changing lives. And I'm not lying to myself, but I'm not lying to myself or to you guys when I say that. I'm just trying to give you guys an inside look of the inner work that it took because there were so many moments that it's like, am I good at what I do? Am I making an impact in people's lives? Is my package worth that amount of money? Like that all happens with all entrepreneurs, especially those that are dealing with high ticket sales. High ticket sales is anything over $1,000. And just to be fully frank, my programs have gone anywhere from $3,000 to $15,000 for like a 6 month or less program, right? And so those are big ticket items that customers have, clients of mine have bought into, and blessed and happy to say, it was transformational for them. I always, my ethic, my morals, I always give a feedback form after every program. And I even sometimes have a sit down with people, with my clients afterwards of like, hey, what was great? What wasn't? Did the transformation, did my service match the amount of money that you paid for? And happy to say that, for the most part, I think I've had one or two outliers that have in a good way challenged like, yeah, this was a little pricey. Again, just being fully frank here. And so my reasoning, okay, let me backtrack. If I don't know if you can hear them, my kids are screaming in the background. They're supposed to be downstairs, but this is the realities of working in your home as a business owner. So I'm getting a little sidetracked, just being honest. I don't think you can hear them because I think I have the audio set up to like you don't hear background noise, but they are right outside my door, just happily playing and distracting me. So, anywho, um, a lot of the beginnings of my entrepreneurial journey was again beefing myself up to believe that like yes I am worthy, and yes I am deserving of this money, and yes I can charge this amount for my services, and yes I can make a difference, and all of that. And I was also, that wasn't done solo. I promise you I could have never gotten my price points to where they were by myself. I took a lot of business courses. I took a lot of mentorship to teach me, what was the norm? What are other people doing? How did they get there? Do you have to include in your services to be at this price point? Like I did my due diligence of to be in mentorship with people that have done it. Um, and being in circles of individuals that were even at much higher price points than what I was doing. Okay. And so what I'm saying now is this is now year 5 for me. That was all needed for me to get to where I was in my business. And what I'm seeing now is if I really want to have a business that continues to have impact, not everyone is going to be at that 15K price, 15K or 15,000 price point. It's just not, I can't say it's not realistic. But with those kinds of mentorships, it's me and that one person. And you can imagine for $15,000 how invested as a coach I have to be in their transformation. Listen, I don't knock it. I love my clients at that high price point. I love all my clients, but it's a different dynamic with every type of relationship because you're paying for a certain type of attention, nurturance from me. And so in this stage of my life where I'm only working 12 to 16-hour work weeks, I can't have 5 of those clients because they take up a lot of my time and energy. And even though I love doing it, it would take up my entire work week. So me and my team had to think about, okay, how are we going to continue bringing in the revenue that we're used to seeing without so much high one-to-one support? And from what I've learned in the blocks and what I've learned with my most recent mentorship programs in business is that I'm gonna have to step away from personal branding. And oh my God, it really it hurts me. It aches my heart because that is something that I really love to do. there's just not Julissa the business owner, Julissa the person really loves sharing my life with others. I I love to be a leader in that sense. And so even that, lines are kind of blurred of like business and personal, like leadership. I like living by example. I think it holds me to a higher accountability that I am actually practicing what I preach to my clients. And I like I like storytelling, and I like storytelling, and I really, really enjoy self-reflection. And so a lot of my content, a lot of my branding has been surrounded around that. That's why I had the Mind Reset program, then the Entrepreneur's Mind Reset, then the Motherhood program. Like it all was following my life as it was changing, growing, and evolving. And listen, it worked. It's not in business, there are so many different business models. It works. I'm not saying it doesn't work. What I'm saying is that where I'm trying to be in my life now, I can't continue to do that. And so I've been thinking about other outlets like here on this podcast where I get to be more personable, and maybe other forms where I will keep an up to date like of my personal life and the kiddos and all of their changes. Because if you've been following me for some time, like my content was like, oh my God, Marcus is being potty trained, Maya's being potty trained, like just like little details of my family life, which I've gotten so many times. And thank you all so much for your love that like I should have a YouTube channel, that they love watching our family grow. And listen, I love it too. Um, what I've also learned is that there's a difference between personal branding and business branding, right? They can both be profitable when it comes to like income, right? Look at all these content creators that they're just sharing their life, and they're making money off of it because of the followers and the views that they have. What I recognize is that I am a service provider first before being a personal brand. And for a long time, I was meshing those two together. And again, it wasn't a fail. It worked. It did what it had to do, but now I'm looking at things differently, right? And for me, a business a business page, a business brand is all about what is your position of authority, what are you really skillful at, and what do you help people overcome? How do you help people change? What is the problem that you are solving, right? And so that's why lately a lot of my content has been just about that, my services. Um, what is the problem that I'm solving? All things under the umbrella of mindset mastery, And so I have, with mothers, I help them reconnect to themselves. I help them heal. I help them become more intuitive with their bodies, their minds, their souls, to then afterwards help them become better mothers, um, have more patience, be more grounded, have less irritability because they're working on self-healing first. When it comes to business, I help you overcome the mindset hurdles that come in running a business, to help you become profitable and scale and all the things. In my one-to-one work via therapeutic care, at a lower price point, you're seeing me either weekly or bi-weekly, and we're working on your traumas, to help you clear old debris that no longer serves you and help you live the life of your dreams. All of my services, no matter which way you chop it up, is all about mindset mastery leading to authentic happiness, right? Leading to a life with less stress, leading to a life where you find passion in what you're doing and you curate genuine joyfulness and happiness in your life. Um, it all ties back to my beginnings of being a therapist. And so when I took a real look at my brand, it's like, I might be confusing my audience here. Like I know there were so many people that love seeing my family and all that sort, but that's not what I'm selling. I'm not selling my family. It was just a source of inspiration, my storytelling. And I'm choosing in this point of my entrepreneurship to split the two, where my business page is going to be all about business. It doesn't mean that I'm cold-hearted or anything of that sort, but anyone that comes to my page has to be able to easily recognize who I am, what I do, what programs I have, what problems I'm solving. If you go on my page and you catch me talking about potty training, you could very well be confused as to like what it is that I do, right? And so I'm still figuring out, it's not perfect. Um, I talk a lot about how in many of my programs, especially my motherhood program, how things have to die in order for you to be rebirthed into the next level of self. And I think that's just what's happening with me in my business now. I have less work hours to do all the things. I have to figure out how I can be most impactful and most profitable. Um, and this is the avenue that we're taking to get there. So I was just talking to my team right before recording this that um, it's not that I don't want to share my personal life, but I think that kind of storytelling and sharing naturally, organically happens within my close-knit communities, my clients that are in my world. Like I do lead through example with my life. I don't know if this is making sense. Like what I mean by that is, like, for example, I had a one-to-one session with a client yesterday. Um, uh, and I was sharing some similarities to help her overcome her hardships in her motherhood journey about what's happening with me and my kiddos because we have kids around similar ages, and so I was sharing like this is where I was stuck. This is what I'm doing to get over that. Is that beneficial to you? That's why I love coaching and therapy. You can't really do things like that. It's not ethical. But when I find it fitting, it's like, yes, I can share some of my personal life if it's going to aid the client in their transformation. So I was doing that a lot on my Instagram to everybody, but it just doesn't make sense to do that anymore. And so, yes, I've taken a large pullback from that. And the pros of that is that I get to focus a lot more of my energy on serving more people. So, full circle, like what I learned at the blocks was how can you make your services replicable to where more people can have their hands on them. I'm going to reference something else that I'm a huge geek and fan of, the show. I watch it on Hulu. I think it's on ABC. I'm not really sure. But they, there's a lot of times where like solo entrepreneurs will come in and the sharks, the people that are looking to invest into your business will give feedback of like, this is a great business for you. You're making like 1 to 300K a year. That is fantastic for you. That's a great business model for you. That's not something that I can invest in. When sharks or venture capitalists, if you may, are looking to invest in companies, they have to have a notion through data or know that it's going to be highly profitable, and not just because of the money that you're making, but of how many people you are touching, right? You think about a small business, they can be extremely profitable. And sometimes you're maybe only touching people in your town, or let's say you have like 100 clients a year, but that can make you want anywhere from like maybe 1 to 300 grand a year. So like that is amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. Like that's fantastic. Um, when you're looking to reach many, you have to lower your price. You have to be able to lower your price to be able to so that everyone can catch like a $40 offer. Not everyone's gonna, for example, go catch my $15,000 offer, and so there's not a right or wrong way of doing business. It's just where are you in life and what do you want? What do you want in this time? And so for me right now, my kiddos are 2 and 3. I am looking to spend more time with them. I do like the schedule that I have going on. And if I want to continue building my brand and making an impact, I have to make my services more affordable because they're not going to be services that are in close proximity to me all the time. Right. And so that's why we started doing the lower ticket items for the master classes where I've gotten really good feedback actually. Maybe we'll link one here in the show notes for you guys. Um, just like, 45 minutes to 1 hour classes where you get to learn a lot, implement things in your day-to-day life and it's almost as if like another way of doing this would be like, let's say one day I write a book. A book would not be $1,000, it would be $20, $16, $15. But the plus there is that I would be able to give it to many people, versus just only a selected few, that are able to pay or able to finance themselves into a service like that, you know? And so this is not a conversation about, oh, I'm watering down my services. No, it's just we're paying for, you pay for proximity. Like in my time of coaching, I'm sorry, of my time of being a mentor with other coaches and other business coaches, the price point that I'm paying, those high tickets that I used to pay like 2,500 a month for a coach, it was because I had the ability to be in her ear, to ask any question that I wanted 5 times a week. Like I was in there. She was looking inside of my business plan, giving me direct feedback. Like it was high proximity coaching and or close proximity coaching. And what I will say is that none of this is good or bad. It's just different forms and avenues of getting trained. And so what I've learned is that when you're ready to rocket ship into transformation, you might want to pay for high ticket coaching, because that coach or expert or leader is in your ear, in your heart, in your day to day, giving you feedback. Do like it is, that's why it only lasts for like 3 to 6 months, because I always say, like, for my high ticket coaching clients, I always gave them a beautiful little warning of like, you're gonna change drastically in the next 6 months, because we are evaluating and assessing your daily actions every day and tweaking. Like, it's like intensive mentorship. That's why you're paying so much money, because you best believe you are changing in those 3 to 6 months. Um, Now, when like right now, I'm taking a couple of business courses that are a little bit more laid back, right? So they are things that I can kind of join whenever I need to and kind of scale back. I don't have access to the head coach, but I have access to a lot of her trainings, and I'm learning a lot because it makes sense for me in this time of my life right now where I don't have that many hours and I need something that's a little bit more flexible. Um, versus in the past when I was paying for a higher ticket mentorship. And I will probably go back to that in the future when I have the time to do that, or when I'm just ready to go ham hard again. Um, but for right now, I'm doing for what works. And so me as a business owner for right now, I'm also giving people opportunities for what works for them, right? So you can have your 1 hour masterclass that you buy from me that maybe comes with a workbook, things of that sort that you can learn and have great insight for, but you don't ever really get to talk to me per se. It's pre-recorded, right? And then I have, you want a little bit more intimacy, you can do traditional therapy with me, which is way different than coaching. And if you want to go into that realm, like that link is also underneath the show notes there for you, right? And then we have our mentorships. It's right. It's 3,500, right? That's a high ticket, but it's not so out of this world, right? It's like you can afford 3K, even if it's put on a credit card or you have a payment plan, it's not going to kill you per se, right? And that they have much closer proximity to me in that container. That's the BBB container, the balancing business and babies, where I'm teaching moms how to build a business on their time, right? I think it's highly valuable. To be frank, I purposely kind of lowered the price point because it's a steal. Like that program is probably worth at least $5,000, but I'm pricing it at 3.5K because I want people to get their hands on it. And I also want to know that when they leave the program, they're like, holy shit, I would have paid twice as much for this program, you know? Um, and then I still have my high ticket level coaching clients that range anywhere from um, 5K to 15K. Right. And but those are very few and far between because, like I said before, they take a lot of my energy, and I'm looking to serve more people. I'm looking to serve, like, a dream of mine is that, I'm having 100 people when I drop a new masterclass, buy it for like $27, and 100 people that I don't know that are not in my audience. Like that's a goal that me and my team are working on. We've had a couple of sales. It's so exciting. I've never sold something for this, like this price point, like a low price point. And so as a business owner, I'm like, okay, cool, this is exciting. passive income, if you may. I created this thing one time, the people are buying it, and I am interested of like what changed for you? What did you learn? What was your transformation at this $27 price point? You know? And so that's the new venture of the many new ventures that we're taking in my business at this time. And entrepreneurship is a steady journey of trying new things and pivoting, taking data, learning what's working, what's not, having actual numbers being run. That's a little bit more of a mature mindset in business, like when you're actually able to run numbers. Like once a month, me and my team, my virtual assistant, Amani, she will document all of our data points of like how many emails did we send out, how many people open the emails, how many links are being clicked in the emails, how many clients did we actually convert from emails. Let's look at your social medias, how many views you're getting, how many people are in your DMs from said carousel or conversation. You know, where are you getting your clients? How are they converting? You know, we're literally tracking everything in the business at this point. Um, what else are we tracking? We're now I just asked my team to now also input YouTube because I think YouTube could be another avenue in the future where I probably can get to share more of my personal life again. But that's later. But still, it's an idea of mine. It's something that I want to work towards. And so we do have a YouTube page right now. It's simply this podcast. It's the podcast that we record is just simply repurposed onto there. And yeah, I'm like, let's start checking those views. Like, how long are people watching the videos for? You know, you can't. What I've learned a lot from the blocks, which was a beautiful learning opportunity for me, was to stop making things so personal and just look at data. And I think it's a different spin because for me in the beginning of my business, it was very personal. As I shared with you before, it was you were following my life story. And what I learned from the blogs was there's another way of doing business too. And if you want to have a larger reach, you can't be making business choices on what you think is good for your audience. You have to ask your audience what they want, what they need with your skill set, and then create for them. Whereas before in my entrepreneurship, you can call it luck or call it passion. I was fully curating out of what I thought was necessary, what I thought was fun, what I thought was intriguing. And hey, listen, it worked. We built a company with, you know, over six figures of revenue by year one 18 by 18 months, right? Um, fantastic. You know, it worked, you know, but I don't think I can't say that I was lucky. I still worked really hard on getting my message out there and like, you know, I was a hard worker getting all the things done, but it was definitely a journey of follow me. This is what I'm doing in my life. This is what I think I can teach you. And I was still killing it in teaching you what I thought was important at that time, but it was very much following my life. Whereas when you're looking to do bigger things, you got to get you got to get not client feedback because I always get client feedback. You have to get consumer feedback, audience feedback, people that never even touched a lick of your courses. Like, what do they think when they see you come up online? What do they understand that it is that you do, right? Like in my head, I can think that I am a great X, Y, and Z, and it's like, yeah, but when people come across and meet you, is that what they're getting? And if not, where does your message have to be refined? You know? And so that's why I also love my BBB container because I'm giving them all of what I've learned over the past 5 years, but also this new insightful information and how they can input it into their business so that they have an even more cutting edge when they begin their businesses. I always say if you listen to my other podcast episodes about mentorship, for me, hiring a coach is all about getting from point A to point B faster, better. You know, when you go to a school, there's a curriculum that you follow that everybody gets, which is also really impactful. For me, when you hire a coach, it's like you're following someone's trajectory. It's like it's very personal, right? It's like people, I would hope that people would want to hire me as their business coach when in relation to motherhood because I am living proof that I have made brand impact in the lives of my clients have made good revenue, profit while raising babies, right? So it's for me, it's like a little more personal. It's like you're not just going to a business school or a business course. It's like you're learning business from a mom that has pivoted and tweaked and tweaked her messaging time and time again to make it work for the lifestyle that continues to change because of my children, right? Like in my BBB course, there's a module on how I was running business when I was pregnant, how I prepared for post, how I prepared for maternity leave, being funded by myself or myself, um, what kind of work I was able to do when I had a 0 to 6 month old and how I was showing up in my business then versus how I showed up in my business when I then had two kids under two, and what energy I was able to give out. Like I'm giving the inside looks of how I made this work as a mother running a six-figure business, right? And so to me, that you hire a coach, it's a little bit more personal, right? It's like, okay, yes, I can go to school to learn business, but I want to learn from someone who is doing it exactly how I want to do it, right? And so that's a difference there. And so this is a long episode. I guess I had a lot to say. This is therapeutic for me as I mean, it is therapeutic for me, and I hope it's helpful for you guys listening. But yeah, all in all, I'm grateful for all the learning opportunities that I've had in my time as a business owner. Happy 1 year anniversary to me from being on our reality TV show. We'll probably link that in the show notes too if you want to give it a watch, um, of where I was showcased on that show. Um, what a trip it has been to be a mother and a business owner at the same time. What a trip it has been. And I'm so very grateful. And yeah, I'm just so very grateful. And I thank God, Source, Universe for giving me the courage to always stand up in leadership, to always be authentic and vulnerable in what I'm doing. Um, knowing and well, I was gonna say hoping, but knowing that it'll reach the ears and hearts that it's supposed to within my sharing, and also knowing that in my decision to cut back from my personal, let's say over on my main engine for clientele, Instagram, um, I will serve more people. And that's the point. That's the whole point of me being in business. It's to serve more, impact more lives, um, spend more time with my children, my family, and be profitable. Um, and this change, it's already working. We're already seeing progress from scaling back. There's duality in everything. There's a piece of sadness in my heart, but all that means is that I have to find another avenue to let this side of me that so desperately wants to share what I'm doing with everybody because there's something egoically attached to that that I just love. I love doing it, and I always receive positive feedback from those that are listening. So it's not that I want to cease it. I just have to stop it when it comes to my branding for my business page, because it's two different business models that I was trying to mesh into one unknowingly, and they have to be separated for this time. So yeah, I would love to hear your feedback, please. If you're listening and you have thoughts, please tag me. Take a screenshot of this episode, tag me on your stories, give me a little feedback of what you thought of it. DM me if you have my number, text me, email me. Just give me feedback of, what this was like for you. I'm always in a position more than ever now talking about running a business from strictly data points and not emotion. I want to know as a business owner what's working, what's hitting, what's landing, what's not, and making my decisions based on that information versus what my heart thinks I should do. So That is all. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Um, I'll talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining me today on Mindset Mastery Podcast. I hope today's conversation inspired you to embrace your own journey of balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship. Remember, it's all about mastering your mindset to create a life of success and fulfillment in both areas. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more incredible moms just like you. Until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, and mastering your mindset.